Hello. Welcome to NightMayr. Hi guys, good to see everybody. Okay, let me fix my shirt, make sure my boobs are away. Hello everybody. It is Friday night. Hope everybody's having a good Pride month so far. It's not very pridey. Hopefully we're just going back to normal. Although I think we're a few years out from that. Anywho, come see me do stand up. We got a bunch of dates coming up. I'll be in Bellmore, Long Island, Plano, Texas, Massillon, Ohio, San Diego, California, and Phoenix, Arizona. Got more dates coming up through the end of the summer and the fall. So for tickets, go to my website, ChrissieMayr.com. Please and thank you. Tonight's guest, he's been on the show before, but this is the first time he's here live in studio. I'm so excited. He is an America First advocate, a Trump enthusiast, a fashion icon. Everyone put your hands together from where you are for Mr. Brick Suit. Oh
Great to be here.
God, you're here in
Great
person.
To be here. Yeah, it's nice to not have the lag of like the Zoom call or whatever. It's much better in person, I think.
It is so much better. I really enjoyed that you changed into your outfit outside and on the front lawn. I was like, the neighbors are going to call me up.
I've gotten a lot better about, like first when I did it, it was like, Clark Kent thing. You're looking for a phone booth, or in my case, usually it's like the ADA porta potty. Those are always the greatest places to change because there's plenty of room.
Unless you get tipped over.
But now it's, I've done it so many times. Just like open up car doors right on the street, parking lots, no big deal.
The suit, we have to talk about the suit because
Sure.
You are a fashion icon. You told me that you have four.
I do have four
suits.
of these, correct, yeah.
We're not going to disclose the location of them. We want
No, the most I'll ever travel with is 3 at one time. And so if I'm like
how would you need 3 of those suits?
Well, if you're going to the RNC and you're going to be wearing the suit for 4 or 5 days in a row, you've got to have a rotation. You're wearing suit 1 while suit 2 is at the cleaners.
Dries up.
And suit 3 is ready to go. So you're just wearing, cleaning. You just got to keep the rotation going.
Wow. See, I was thinking it'd be the same suit. You just wear it every day, but that'd be a recipe for
it's not
a disaster.
It's not, it's
Smell-wise.
polyester. It's not the most breathable of fabric. So it's really, that's, as a public service, we'll bring all 3 suits to any extended convention.
That's how I know.
The 4th suit is never, you remember the show Designated Survivor, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what the 4th suit is. They're never all together in one place.
It's in a safe underground bunker somewhere.
Essentially so. So if there's a meteor strike on my house or the car that I'm traveling in, or I lose my luggage, I still have 1 suit in reserve ready to go.
Because the person who makes these suits, they don't make them anymore.
No,
so
they're
if you're
out of business.
If you're sitting at home trying to copy this look, I'm sorry to tell you, it's not going to happen. So
yeah.
So
they're originally costume suits from England, and I guess apparently they're called stag suits, the equivalent of our bachelor party, a stag party. So I guess in England, when all the guys go out on their stag party
looking
night,
for chicks,
they're all dressed to get the same thing. So it's kind of like the way a bachelorette party would be here in the States. They're all wearing the same clothing. Imagine trying to do that in America. Like, hey, we're going to go out for a bachelor party. We're all going to wear the same clothes. You'd be laughed at.
No, guys don't do that.
So I think that maybe they do that in England because, I don't know if it's their soccer mentality, like they're all going to be in the same team, whatever. But apparently the good clubs in London have a dress code because they're trying to keep out the riffraff. And the dress
blacks.
code, the riffraff. And so the code is the dress code is you have to wear a suit. So enter this cottage industry of costume suits for stag parties, so that they're semi-disposable. They don't cost much. If you're, a 20-something in English,
it's not a Brooks brother.
You throw up on it, you rip it. It doesn't matter.
It's got a pocket right there for.
It's like it's not even a real pocket. You can't put anything in it. So it's like they're not even like the jacket is close to a real jacket. It's got a lining. It's got interior pockets. The pants, they're horrible. Elastic waist, one size fits many. Yeah. So it is essentially a costume suit. Although I'm thinking about getting some bespoke ones made.
It's your facial hair and you're smart and you're fashionable. You're like Gavin McInnes, but like not an asshole.
Well,
and I love Gavin. He just whatever. You all know.
Someday I hope to meet Gavin.
My beef with him right now.
Someday I do hope to meet Gavin, so I can point out the difference is that Gavin will have a full beard on the side.
Mm-hmm.
and I will not. And
Right.
then Seb Gorka will not have the upturned mustache.
Oh, right. Yes,
So
Gorky. Yeah.
So there are ways to tell us apart. And a funny story that I will tell is that Dr. Gorka did come up to me at one of the events where I saw him.
Hello, Brick Suit. How are you doing?
And first of all, I don't look anything like him.
No.
And he's tall.
He's a big dude.
He's a big guy.
Like a refrigerator.
He's a big guy.
He's like Pearl Davis.
But somebody saw him sitting in the airport in Phoenix and went up to him and asked him if he was Brick Suit.
Yes. That's great.
So, it's
so funny.
Much respect for Dr. G. Absolutely.
So getting back to, this is called a stag suit. So there's British people who actually think that this suit is going to get chicks.
No,
like
it's
this
more,
is going to get you laid.
It's more like we're going out as a group and everybody wears the same thing.
Okay.
So now you know that we're all with the same group.
Okay.
And it's like they're all out because they have other
Like
patterns
novelty,
too.
yeah.
They have like lightning bolts or
like
unicorns.
in a group of guys together, be like, someone has the brick suit, someone has a suit that looks like the street, someone has a suit that looks like it's made of wood, or maybe it's like all the three little houses from the little piggies.
Or they all wear the brick suits, or they all wear the same. So like that group of guys is together because they're all wearing the same stuff.
And you could all stand like shoulder to shoulder. Let's talk about the origin story of your name, Brick Suit. I think we have the clip of you. I think I DM'd you, Fieldy, in the Twitter. Or if not, it's Brick's pinned tweet.
It is my pinned
Twitter.
tweet. Yeah.
So this was now, could it be 6 years ago?
Yeah, it was May of 2019, 6 years ago. Yeah.
You're at a Trump rally.
At a Trump rally. So this is like, I bought this suit because I was flying back east to meet my dad. We were going to go up to Pennsylvania for a convention, but I knew here, we're going to play it here or?
Yes, we're going to play it. I love this moment. And Trump really doesn't look that much different.
No.
And this is in, Montoursville.
Montoursville, Pennsylvania.
Is this near Butler? At this point, are you peeing your pants?
I'm like, I can't believe it. And people are like pounding my back. And I'm like, right now I'm stepping over the bunting, the flag bunting. And the last thing I remember is like, don't step on the flag and don't fall. I don't remember any of this. I don't remember what I said.
I imagine you blacked out.
It was like autopilot.
You had no facial hair then.
No.
And the OG hat. Oh my gosh. This is thrilling. Were you right in the front row?
I was in the front row. Because this is the third rally I'd been to, and I had, the first rally was in Vegas, and I got there 4 hours early, and I was like 40 people deep. So the first thing I did is I went up to the people in the front after rally was over, and I said, "How soon did you get here?" And they told me. And so the second rally I went to was in 2018 in Mesa, that he was there to support Martha McSally's first Senate run, and I got there the night before at midnight, and I ended up on the front row. And so I basically had it. So I had this trip planned where I was flying into DC. My dad and I were going to go up to Pennsylvania for a couple days, and then we're going to come back to DC, and I was going to have 2 days free. And I just said, well, if I'm going to fly into DC, this is after everybody gets taken off the internet. Okay. This is after everybody gets deplatformed. So you lost Stefan Molyneux, you lost, Alex Jones was thrown off.
Oh, this is like peak cancellation time.
Peak cancellation.
2016.
So my fight back is like, well, if I can't have free speech online, which we couldn't because it was the right of the platforms to take people off, I can do it in real life. So I wanted to troll leftists in DC in real life. And I started thinking about what can I have besides just a MAGA hat that can really troll people. And I came up with the idea of a wall suit, and I just typed in wall suit, and this came on, this came up, and so I bought it.
Did Trump say, buy the suit, make the Mexicans pay for it?
No, he didn't say anything like that, but I thought, and so anyways, I bought the suit to go on this trip, but 2 days before I'm ready to fly back east, President Trump announced that rally in Montoursville. So I already had the whole outfit. It was only 120 miles away from where my dad and I were going. And it was the last 2 days of the trip. So I had it completely open. So, I knew what time to get there to be first in line. And, so I ended up being the front. And I thought, maybe he'd see it and thumbs up, nice suit. And at that time, I'm on Reddit. I'm on the Donald, the greatest website ever. It really is. The Donald circa 2015, 2016.
See, I was not awake at this time. I did not come around until 2018. So I feel like I'm so behind on this stuff.
So, so like, I'm thinking maybe I'll just get like a thumbs up, whatever. And then he invites me on stage and I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. So
you got the suit to wear at a rally or just to troll the left in general?
I got to troll the leftists in DC. Wow. It wasn't even for a rally. It was just sheer accident that he announced a rally when I was already planning to be back east. That was only 120 miles away.
Everything lined up.
Is it an accident? I don't know. I mean, it's a long string coincidence.
It's meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So now I feel like after that you would become buddies quickly. Like there's only one guy wearing a brick suit out there.
Yeah, it's like I had to think about whether or not I wanted to go forward with this because like I had no social media back then. None. I didn't even have MySpace, right? So you go from doing that and you do like a national live hit with Fox and Friends.
Oh, they had you on?
Yeah.
After this moment? Okay.
And I didn't really hit me until how much other people really appreciated it until I went to in June of that year, his campaign re-election kickoff in Orlando. So I went to that and people were like, oh, you can't be back here in the back of the line. You're coming up with a front with us.
Wow.
And then Kayleigh McEnany was the social media chair for Trump back then. And she came up and said that clip with you in Pennsylvania is the most viewed clip we've ever had.
Wow.
And that's when it really hit me that, it's not so much about me as a person as just I am a proxy for President Trump supporters, and they see that moment through the lens of what other world leader would do that. Does that happen in England? No. Germany? No. France? Is Macron going to call people up out of the crowd to come up on stage? No.
Unless his old ass wife slaps somebody else. No, probably not.
Yeah. So, it's just a very Trump thing, and that's why when I decided that I was going to start a Twitter account, I was going to get on social media. That's why I chose the name Brick Suit instead of using my real name, because it's not. Again, I feel like I'm a proxy for Trump supporters, and it's not
about you personally.
No,
yeah,
not really.
But you do bring a lot of finesse, and you're smart and you're well spoken, and it's if you were just like kind of a moron, you wouldn't have, I think, been featured as much. Or
there's something to be said for that. As Scott Adams would say, I have a talent stack that works well with this. So it's not something that came naturally. Like the first couple of interviews I did with the press were just horrible, but I got really good at it. And one thing that kind of bothered me is I would go to rallies and I'd be waiting in line. And the press at that moment in the 2020 campaign, they were really only interested in speaking to the first like two people in line.
Huh.
And in one rally, I was like third or fourth, and they were just kept talking to these other people, and they hadn't been paying attention to what the campaign had been doing. So while the issues they were talking about were important to them, they were not the issues that the campaign was featuring at the time. And so it just occurred to me, I could do a better job conveying the message of the campaign if I just get out there a little bit earlier.
Wow.
And then I also found out that as fun as Trump rallies are, I started to enjoy the whole time before them in a different way, but just as much. So, it wasn't like a chore for me to get to.
How so? Like tailgating?
Well, yeah, it's just like you're there and everybody's like, back then, you that's when people were getting, you would see the news about people being assaulted because they wore the hat, which didn't happen that often, but enough to make the news. And so when you went to these rallies, it was really the only space that people felt like they could let their conservative freak flag fly. And it was just, it was a lot of fun that way. And doing the interviews was something I enjoyed. And I didn't have a great, members of the press didn't recognize me as much back then. So they would just approach me thinking, hey, this guy's going to be a joker. He's dressed in a
Or a
Brit
smart
costume.
ass, yeah.
He's going to be a clown. Let's go talk to him. And then I would just, ace the interview and
Wow.
get the talking points out there and do it that way.
Did you feel like, like you had a pressure to really know your stuff, like backwards and forwards in terms of like, they would probably ask you, oh, what do you feel about like the wall? Obviously it's on your suit, or like, did you feel like you had to know like all there is to know about all of Trump's policies?
Yeah, I had to know the big issues. I think the best interview that I ever gave never aired. And it was the Tulsa rally, which was the first big rally after COVID shut stuff down. And so I was in Tulsa 4 days early, and the day before, Good Morning America comes around. And they're interviewing me, and the producer's feeding the person questions. And, really they're trying to trip you up. It's
How so?
Well, the classic one is, well, do you think it's safe for everybody to be here with COVID being such?
Okay.
And I'm like, well, apparently it's been okay at all the BLM protests and,
Yeah.
and all the Antifa activity that we've seen. So yeah, I think it's okay. So you understand that I had the advantage of being asked those similar questions by other press, and in that sense, when I'm giving an interview, I'm a little bit more prepared for it than the interviewers think that I am. And I don't really give too many interviews like that anymore because, frankly, the press is not doing a very good job of covering the people who come out to support President Trump. So there are people like at the rally that just happened last week outside of Pittsburgh at the U.S. Steel plant. There only minimal press was there to cover that. So it's not the same degree of in-depth coverage. And I think that, if there is a story that's being underserved, it's the viewpoints of the people who come to support the president.
Yeah, it's true. Like the rallies like that I've been to, it's been, you go and do kind of man on the street interviews. And I was just so impressed with the variety of people who came to the rallies. And you always have like the Chinese ladies that were against like the CCP. And then you have tons of immigrants that are like, just, they came from a communist country. They saw the direction that the country was heading in, like prior to his second term, and it's really all types of people. So, and I think, like you said, like if the legacy media really did their job of getting to know who these folks are, they'd be like, wow, this really represents everybody in the country.
Yeah, and they'd also understand, I think. They have a better insight into the fact that supporters of President Trump are not necessarily traditional supporters of the Republican Party. There's a sizable people who are maybe lapsed Republicans or people who were, on the right side of the Democrat spectrum, left behind by Democrats, shift to the left. And then there are people who are apolitical. And that was me. Like I voted for Reagan in 1984. Right. And then I became so disenchanted with the fact that I felt like both parties were relatively the same. And I'm in California, and California was turning blue. My vote didn't really mean anything. I didn't vote again until 2020. I went from 1984 till 2020. I didn't come back till politics until I saw President Trump on the third day that he was in office, the third and fourth day, getting us out of the Paris Climate Accord and getting it out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And those are two things I thought would never happen. And he made them go away with the stroke of a pen. And that's when I said, he is really doing the things that he said he was going to do. And I started following him a lot more closely. Now, obviously, I didn't want Hillary to win, but I wasn't even registered in 2016. So I can't say I voted for President Trump. I wanted him to win, but I knew that my vote in California didn't count for anything. That was my viewpoint at the time. And so, I was ecstatic that he did win. And I thought, hey, worst that can happen is, it doesn't work out and we go back to choosing better candidates in 4 years. Had no idea that he would be the president that I always wanted to be in office, to really put the needs of America first, to really upset the apple cart in a meaningful way, and to really draw us back from our overseas involvement.
What made you think that we would never get out of the climate accord?
Do you know how many tens of thousands of man hours? The Paris Climate Accord was different. The one that I thought that was significant, but basically everybody been bought out on the carbon credits and things like that. The Trans-Pacific Partnership was basically all the nations around the Pacific saying, okay, you're going to be able to do this, and then we're going to need this from you. And so there were, I'm sure, tens of thousands of people hours went into the negotiation of and basically saying, we're going to rob you here, but you can rob us here. And one of the biggest things was it was extremely weak in that they wanted an international body to do determination on intellectual property disputes. So American intellectual property would have been decided, issues like that would have been decided under the terms of that treaty, and Trump made it all go away.
Oh, wow. So, like how China steals so much of our IP, just
100%.
In many different 100%. Ways. They'll attend our colleges and it's really fascinating the way
they not only they steal, but unfortunately we give away a lot of it. Yeah.
Talking to you, TikTokers. Is that what you were thinking?
I'm thinking more like we let them attend our universities, we educate them. They're not everybody who attends the United States university from China is an agent of the CCP.
But a lot of them.
But 97% of them.
Yeah, there's just 4 that are
but not all of them. I'm not gonna say they're all that way, but it's Harvard's gonna have a tougher time. Harvard's gonna have a tougher time without them.
Poor Harvard, yeah. They've been in the news a lot. They've DEI
done nothing
people.
Right.
They really keep stepping in it.
They're just so bad. So bad.
Your story is so interesting, Brick. I'm just going to call you Brick. It just seems like you really kind of fell into being a sort of, I don't know, is it insulting to say you're kind of a mascot?
Well, I don't know if I'm a mascot.
I mean that in the best way possible.
Yeah, I understand. I'm
poster boy?
Rally personality.
Presence? Yes, rally personality.
But then, I also do political conferences, and look, there's a serious side to me too. I was the legitimate representative at the RNC. I was a delegate from California. I was on the floor of the RNC casting my vote for President Trump to be, the Republican candidate. So it's not. I never could have envisioned that something like that would happen. But I am, I was an official delegate from California, and I had a great time with that. And if the opportunity comes up to do that again, I would jump at it.
Wow. So Trump invites you on stage. You start getting interviews. What other opportunities started coming along for you that you were surprised by, maybe not ready for?
Well, I think the biggest one is that in the campaign season of 2020, RSBN put out a call for guest commentators, and I submitted my name for that, and getting I had basically an audition. The first one I was going to go to Green Bay, but that's when President Trump contracted COVID, so he missed that, and so then I ended up going. The first one I went to was Des Moines, Iowa, so I end up being on the stage doing this type of stuff, and RSBN likes what I was doing, and I felt like I had watched enough of their telecasts to know what they were like. I had a sense for what the audience that Right Side Broadcasting Network wanted at that time, and I felt like I was in the rallies that I did cover for them. I thought I was pretty good at it, but to be up there on the press riser and Jim Acosta's in front of me.
Wow.
And he's got to be polite. And I'm nice too, but I'm like Eddie Haskell nice, for people who remember Leave It to Beaver. I'm just being a little passive aggressive and how I'm talking to him. And to be up there with the national media, but I'm on the riser with the brick suit was crazy. And, I would do stuff that they would never dream of doing. Like the one of the last rallies I covered was in Scranton, which was actually, if you look it up, it's Avoca, which is the name of the airport. And it was about 30 some odd, low 30s, high 20s. And they're all in the media tent, which is heated.
Oh,
And I'm out on the bleachers still just doing the reporting because, I've got like those hand warmer stick-on pads.
oh yeah. Like
I
for
put them all
skiing.
under my arms, like the hunter
You
pads.
should have winterized one of your suits.
I had the thermals on, but I also had like, what do they call them? Hot hands, but they call them, but they have them like stick on the bottom of your feet. So I've got them on in my
for
boots,
skiing.
and I've got the big patches under, where all the blood flow is. So I'm out there just not even perturbed by the temperature,
Wow.
and they're all wimping out in their tent with the heated atmosphere. And I feel like I in some ways I approached it with more zeal than they did.
Wow. Yeah, they're like, what's your secret? Why are you not freezing your ass off?
Yeah. So that was something I never could have expected. And then, being invited to Mar-a-Lago for President Trump's re-election campaign that he announced in 2022, November of 2022. That was.
What was that like? Did you,
crazy.
were you like, I don't know what to wear? Just kidding. I have to wear this.
I brought a real suit too, but I just, once I got it cleared, I said, I really want to wear the bricks. Can I wear the bricks? Yeah, you can wear the bricks. So
You had to get clearance?
I didn't have to, but I just wanted to make sure that it'd be okay. I don't
You're
like
being polite.
I don't like to show up and just be like,
It's true.
Let me impose the bricks
He came to
upon
my
you.
show in San Diego. I think it was last year or 2 years ago, before the baby, and you weren't wearing your suit. And I called you out, and I was like, "You're not wearing the suit," and you were like, "I was trying to be polite."
yeah. Well, it's funny because like my account on Twitter, on X, is mostly about me wearing the suit, and it's funny. People just think, is that all you do? Well, no, I do other stuff, but I don't put it on my social media account. So, but I don't like to it's. There are times when it's appropriate and times when it's not. And I will wear like the jacket to a political event in Arizona, but not the pants.
Oh,
Unless Trump is there, in which case it's the full brick suit.
if Trump is there, he's getting the pants.
So there's the Arizona brick suit, which is the cowboy boots and the Wranglers and the jacket. I don't have a brick bolo tie yet. Maybe I should make a brick bolo tie with a little, brick clasp of bolo. But so I'll wear that to Arizona, and so there's a sliding scale of how, for lack of a better phrase, how bricked up I'm going to get.
Bricked up. That's funny.
I do know all the brick jokes, but
Okay, chat. Come at us with the brick jokes. We'll try to find one that you haven't heard before. And by the way, if we get any super chats, just feel to yell it out. But maybe people have been scared to send them. And if you see any good questions in the chat for brick, let us know. You were saying before we went live how creating memes has changed your brain.
oh yeah, totally. So going back to the Donald, which if anybody knows, what that site was about, it was on Reddit. It was the best subreddit on there, and kind of the Wild West of Trump support. And I was, immersed in that, although I was not an active member, and didn't start until after CNN doxed a person who put out a wrestling meme. They were threatening to dox this
Wow.
15-year-old who put it out.
Wow.
And so then I started actively making memes.
What was the wrestling meme?
It was the one where it's the WWE and Trump gets in there and like throws CNN to the ground outside the ring and starts punching them, so it's like one of those things. And CNN got all, they got upset.
Their panties were in a bunch.
They were clutching their pearls. They were a little butt hurt, all that stuff. And they threatened to dox the viewer. And I'm just like, well, that's ridiculous. So once you start making memes, you start looking at photographs critically in a way that other people don't. And like, how can I make fun of this? What is the key detail? What are people missing? And sometimes that led to me actually breaking stories. And the best example I have of that is when President Biden did his first press conference, which we know was months after he was elected. I was looking for photographs that I could make a meme out of, and I needed a different angle. And so I was looking at, sometimes I look at Getty, sometimes look at AP, but I was looking at the European photo pool. And I pulled up this photo and I noticed what's going on with the paper he's holding. And then I zoomed in on it, and I could see that there were faces and names that were circled and numbered. So before anybody else in the mainstream media
That was
knew
you?
about it, I broke the story that
Wow.
Biden had
Facebook, essentially. Yeah.
basically, and that he had the numbered sequence of who he was calling, a seating chart with the faces and the names and the number in which he was going to call them. And then, I put that out and I sent it out to, a few accounts and they picked that up. But it was me looking at a photograph from Europe, trying to find something that I could meme, looking at the details of the card he was holding up that broke that story.
That is so fascinating.
So from the very beginning, he had those type of note cards. And it turned out that he actually had the scripted handwritten questions. And so it was, he's been a disaster from the get-go.
Right. He had those cue cards. It's kind of was in front of our eyes this whole time.
Unless you're, Jake Tapper or all those people say, "Oh, I never saw it. I didn't know."
They look ridiculous. It's indefensible. And now everyone's gonna come out as an independent or have their own book out. It's just, I don't know. It's
KJP. I didn't know she could read, let alone write.
One of the Biden, you retweeted it. One of the Biden staffers, I guess, tweeted something and then quickly deleted it, like that she was actually kind of dumb. Oh, here's you with Trump, or is this the tweet?
That's me. I just put that out. MAGA hat stays on.
When was this?
This was in Vegas, and it's the only. He has the click line where people can get to meet him backstage.
This looks like a cardboard cutout of Trump. Like he looks so good.
He always looks good.
Yeah.
But you notice his thumb here? People don't really
It's really
He does not do the vertical thumb hitchhiking. His thumb, when he does thumbs up, it's always just kind of like
it's a thumb out.
Forward. So it's a little bit different. That's how you know it's not an impersonator.
That's interesting. That's
different. He does not do the straight up and down thumb.
He does a thumb out.
And then I stole my finger point from Waka Flocka. Flocka took a picture with him and did that same thing, just pointing to him. I said, "That's so much better.
Yeah,
so much better than doing."
I always do a point. I love pointing at people.
Yeah, he's the guy.
He's the guy.
This Vegas rally was on short notice, and he was supposed to be doing one in Reno, but fires, didn't work. So I put my name in the hat to get on the picture list, and so
wow.
I just wanted to do it once. It was.
So how many times have you met him now?
He's called me on stage at rallies 3 times, and then once at the podium for a Kerry Lake fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago, and then I've spoken to him several times when I've been like in the front of a line, and he'll come up and share some insights about the campaign. He'll ask me how I think the energy's going.
That must make you feel important. Like, that's pretty cool.
You know what? It's again, it's not me. This is me as proxy, and he sees. I think that he, obviously he recognizes me, and I get a kick out of it when he calls me Mr. Wall.
Mr. Wall.
There's Mr. Wall. Mr. Wall. He's been to 400 rallies. However many the numbers always go higher.
Are you married?
I'm not.
Imagine if you were married and he called your wife Mrs. Wall, then she would take that personally and be like, "What do you mean? I still look good."
Yeah. So, it's like, but again, my perspective is that I'm a proxy. And, but I think that he also, I think that President Trump appreciates having supporters that he recognizes at his rally. And there's another group of people out there called the Front Row Joes, and they go to a lot of rallies, and there's, he has got that volunteer, the ushers that are from North Carolina. He'll talk about them. And so I think that he appreciates that, but it is interesting when he's asking me, we were at Carvel Ice Cream, the only Carvel ice cream out in California on Sunset Boulevard. And he was asking me what I felt about the campaign.
You went to Carvel with him?
Well, he was doing one of those retail appearances where he goes in and word leaked about where he was going to be at. So I got there a few hours early and was standing in front. And I wasn't inside. I was on the outside. So, he comes up and talks to people.
Was it like how when he was at McDonald's, was he like doing his own cone?
He wasn't doing that. It was before any of that. It was, but he signed my hat and we chatted for a little bit and, so it's difficult to describe what it's like. It really is. But I feel lucky to be able to support the president and support America first in the limited capacity that I can, just through visibility of my core issue, which is border security, which never should have been an issue in this last election, but because of Joe Biden's, basically let's open the floodgates and bring everybody in, it became a bigger issue than it was in the 2016 and 2020 campaigns.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
So the issue came back to me, and I feel like had it not been for Biden, and what he did at the border, I still would have supported President Trump, but the border just became such a critical campaign point because of the abuses of the Democrats.
Yeah, it's just become such a mess. And even at this point, like the left is like, oh, Trump is separating families. They're stoking this fear like anybody.
You heard Maryland man is coming back, right? Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, Maryland man.
Maryland
didn't
man
he just
is
get
coming
caught
back
for like sex trafficking or something?
Human trafficking, grand jury indictment. He's going to be tried in Tennessee.
Wow.
And apparently firearms are involved. I haven't been able to read like all the tweets about it because this was happening as I was coming down here and the news was breaking, but they've got him on a pattern of trafficking and gang membership. And so that's, like Maryland man. It'd be interesting to see the Democrats backtrack on this. Now, like, wait a minute. He's really is a gang member and he has guns and he's doing human trafficking over a period of years. Maybe we don't want to be making this guy our poster. They picked the worst poster people.
Oh, yeah. And they're like, well, we're all immigrants. We all came from somewhere that's there. Oh, was here the video? This is the video here. Maryland man was actually a human trafficking, women abusing MS-13 gang member. No wonder the Democrats loved him. Let's play this video. What is this footage of inside the...
This is their stopping him. And they're asking him questions about like who's, and they're all like going to the same address and shit. What's the limit right now? You can see it's
that's him driving? No, okay.
That's Maryland man in the driver's seat. Well,
and this is Maryland woman next to him?
I think there's 7 people in the car.
Oh, wow.
Big limit, I see the...
Yeah, it jumps up
subtitles.
It's like, ¿qué pasó? No.
No me gusta being pulled over.
If I remember correctly, he doesn't have a license and he doesn't have insurance or anything. He just let him go.
Yeah, you drive.
Well, who needs that when you're an illegal?
And your proof of insurance.
What does she have on her lap? A box of popsicles? What is that? Oh, it's... Maybe it's booze.
Oh my God. Okay, so
and notice that this is 2022, November 30th.
With my license,
so this is like,
right now,
right in the middle of the
right?
Biden era.
Wow.
And just basically,
because
they weren't doing anything about stopping people.
Employment, so like 2 years experience. So
Yeah,
I
you
need
actually
to,
hear his voice.
So right now,
it is like the
I wait in the
Spanish
paper for
accent.
immigration.
Like, we were
I go to
working,
the
we were
NBA.
going, and we're doing the thing, and...
And his Maryland accent is really coming out.
I'm from Maryland. I born here. I work.
Right, I'm from Maryland. I'm driving people from Texas, and you have pulled me over in Tennessee, and I have none of my legal papers, and so and they just let him go.
So where do y'all live at?
Where I live? I live in
And
Maryland.
clearly from
Where I
Maryland.
live.
And he's not a good person.
Vehicle is
No.
He's not a good person. I mean,
Whose car is
his partner filed restraining orders against him.
Where's he
Said that he had accosted her, that he had threatened her. He's not
Not a good guy.
He's not a good person.
We won't miss him.
So
Oh, it's Coca-Cola. Now I see.
Look, they're smuggling Coke from Texas. How could it be more blatant?
It's just her lap is covered in Coke.
He's He's hauling these people for money, is what he's doing.
The cop is actually
Sometimes
saying
they
that he's
commingle
hauling
dope.
the people for money. Like they know.
Right, they know.
what's up.
He-
Yeah, they know.
Oh, wow.
But it
He's
was,
a
but it's
coyote?
not. But it's not their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
It's not their thing. It's like all they can do is refer it
So
to
he's getting
to
paid
INS,
all
and then of
probably
course
Maryland,
Biden's.
I would
They
say.
didn't do anything with it.
Or whoever's
Yeah.
manning the auto pen at this point. Do you think anything's gonna come of that? You think anybody's gonna be arrested?
I don't know, because let's put it this way. If Joe Biden knows about the pardon, then the auto pen use is valid. So what it would take for an auto pen pardon
Like
to
quiz
be
him
overturned,
on all of his
would it take Biden saying that I didn't know anything about it, or somebody from the staff is going to have to rat out somebody else from the staff, and it's going to be very hard to prove without something coming from inside that,
could they sit Biden down in like a quiz and be like, circle the names of the people you have pardoned, and then just have a bunch of names?
he wouldn't have remembered it at the time.
Yeah.
5 minutes after he did it. He's not going to remember it now. It's, if there's some sort of financial record of somebody getting it and they paid somebody, and there's some fiscal forensics that they could figure out. But as much as I would like certain pardons to be revoked, I don't know that they're going to be able to do that. I think you have a greater chance of revoking them if you attack the preemptive blanket pardons for a 10-year period for anything you did.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one.
The president does enjoy extremely broad powers to pardon people, but it would be interesting to see what the Supreme Court would make of that. For instance, the type of pardon that Biden gave to his family, including Hunter, where, I excuse you for everything you did.
2014 on.
Right. So like if he killed somebody in that time frame, he has a pardon for it.
That's wild to me. That
Like
it's
anything
that
he
big.
did in that time frame that's a federal crime, he can't be charged for. Now, that doesn't, like, in the instance of Hunter, that doesn't preclude some state DA from charging him for money laundering or something like that, if it happened in the state that person has jurisdiction in.
Interesting.
But for federal crimes, of course, there's nothing you do about it.
And didn't they give him like a 10-year pardon as well?
Same. Yeah.
Hey, that's one I would like to see undone. I just it makes me really angry. I don't know.
Everything that's come out has just validated the viewpoint that he knew all about it from the very beginning, and that, in fact, the research is being done at his behest. He had offshored it, the gain of function. He had sent it overseas, and, he has no leg to stand on with this whole... It's the wet market. Remember, it was the bat.
Oh yes, it was a pangolin.
It was a
Someone
pangolin,
ate
it
a
was
bat.
It's, yeah.
Once I found out about the beagles, I was like, this guy should burn.
Yeah.
I'll never be okay with that. Go back to that, the two photos you had of the different Bidens. That was interesting. Yeah, there's a theory going around that the real Biden died years ago, and that they have a series of Biden doubles or people wearing masks.
I'm not down with that. I believe
You think it's really him?
it's just a series of
Getting
plastic
older.
surgery. No, it's plastic surgery.
Do you think yeah, of course he's had work done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
they all do, right?
He especially.
You never think of dude politicians getting work done.
He definitely did have work done. If you got cloning technology, why are you going to clone Joe Biden?
Yeah, clone somebody good.
It just doesn't make any sense. You're going to waste it on Joe Biden?
Clone an old person. Yeah,
So-
we should be cloning
Look,
Trump.
People are correct to point out that his appearance has changed dramatically. Okay. But I personally feel that the most logical explanation is that he's had significant plastic surgery that's changed his appearance.
Yeah, look at his eyes. He's definitely had facelift. He's definitely had.
I don't think it's, I think that to me is a much more plausible explanation than he is cloned and it's a different person.
Look at all these different Bidens, though.
Well, now, but
Bottom left,
all right, so
though.
look,
Come on.
Well, that's exaggerated.
Yikes!
But
it's like a jack-o'-lantern.
But part of what you're looking at here is
he in a wind tunnel for some of these?
well, you're looking at the effects of image compression. Like they're not all
Yikes!
in their normal resolution, and so like
He looks Chinese in the one bottom.
yeah,
Second one from the left.
You can see the difference in his eyes, and some of the, just like the lines aren't there as apparent. It makes him look smoother.
Maybe Botox.
He's had different looks. He really has.
I love the breakdown. I love that people spend so much time. Okay, that the noses are different. The space between his lip and nose. Could that just be like degree of smiling? Like
Yes, it
he's
could be.
clearly older in 2020, right? If he's had facelifts and fillers and Botox, he's not going to have as much movement in his face.
Right. I mean,
His ears look like they're on different levels in the second photo.
again,
you get
Occam's razor. Like
even the chin.
in
yeah.
my propensity to embrace conspiracy theories is I'm slow to move towards them. Okay, many conspiracy theories are correct. Many of them are. All right, and we've had a lot of them proven, but that doesn't mean I jump in with 2 feet on everything. Like let's take, for instance, the ship that hit the bridge in Baltimore. So immediately when that happened,
yeah.
people like China is attacking our ports by taking over ship. I'm like, it's probably just more likely that the ship lost power and hit the bridge. And so, with Biden and his change in appearance, I attribute that to be most likely due to cosmetic surgery.
That's smart.
And not to him secretly being cloned.
And that keeps you a respectable person, I think.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Look, honestly,
I like to jump on different conspiracy theories, but I'm not here to be taken seriously.
the easy way out for me, like if I was just going for maximum engagement, maximum followers, I would just follow every conspiracy and just be like,
You'd be Dom Lucre.
I'd be somebody who would just be, I'm not going to name names. I'm too diplomatic for that. Too
I'll name
diplomatic.
them. Yeah.
Too diplomatic. But, I'd be like,
You'd be Ian Miles Chong.
I'd be like, oh. There are people who are calling for Mike Johnson to vacate the chair as if we could replace him with somebody who'd do a better job with only a 2-vote margin.
Why do those people not like him?
I don't know, because basically, I think that the real thing is, like, am I happy with everything Mike Johnson has done? Not really. I think that there are things he could do better at. I'd like to see some improvement. I'd like to see some things going through to codify President Trump's executive orders. At the same token, I recognize the fact that this is not like the Republican majority in the House in the 80s when they had like a 40-seat majority. They could basically railroad through anything that they wanted. You got a very small majority, and then you've got some people out there who are libertarians in spirit and Republicans in party, or who are rhinos, or who are really left-leaning Republicans, and it's just hard to get it all passed. So, our current situation in the House and the Senate is not ideal in terms of getting packages passed through as legislation. And so there's a number of factors that work there. And I just, I'm willing to extend him more time, but that doesn't mean an infinite amount of time. And, I'll be very disappointed if a year from now we're at the same place we are now. But
I don't think we will. I
don't think we,
he's been hitting the ground running with so much other stuff that I can't imagine there'll be nothing accomplished between now and a year.
Yeah, and they can't give away their whole playbook either. Here's the other thing too. Is like, President Trump has access to levels of information that we don't have, and
he knows the Earth is flat.
He knows we never landed on the moon.
Yeah, he knows what's
Right.
going on in Antarctica.
Yeah, we landed on the moon. By the way, everybody, I just want
Did
you to
we?
know that we did.
Then why aren't the Kardashians on the
We
moon?
really did. I'd love to send them there.
Why are there no influencers on the moon?
I would love to send the Kardashians.
Me
to the
too.
moon.
Let's send all the trans people to the moon.
The dark side of the moon, and just we'll seed that to them, and
Yeah.
we'll never have to see them again, even with a telescope.
Wouldn't that be great?
But basically, what I was saying is that President Trump has access to information that is not public, that we can't know of, and through trial and error, there were times when privately I might have second guessed something that he was saying or a decision. Or why is he supporting this policy? And then the answer became apparent. Like, how many times do you need to do that before you just
Trust him.
I voted for him and I'm going to trust what he
Yeah.
wants to do. And he's extended that trust to Speaker Johnson, and we're just going to have to see how their strategy plays out.
I would be bad at being president for so many reasons, but the one I'm thinking of right now is like, the top secret info. I'd be like, oh, I have such a hard time. Be like, all right, I'm going to tell my two
But
good
you can
friends,
declassify it at any
my
time you want.
husband. I'm going to tell a few
Declassified
people.
anyway. I'm gonna get on my Twitter support group and I'm declassify.
I'm just going to tell my mom's group on Twitter, and then like two friends, my husband. Okay, and then I'm going to tell my mother and father, and that's it.
Honestly, I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it. Just talk about a person who had a singular exposure and training to be able to handle the stresses of being president. After everything happened in Butler, to be back 2 days later at the RNC.
That's incredible.
On Monday.
Yeah.
Almost
dying, almost literally being executed in front of the world.
Yeah. And then I was, maybe 20 feet away from that.
Oh, you were there?
I was in the front row.
Oh my God. You could have had ear blood on you.
I was so close that when he stood up, I could tell that the blood was only from the top of his ear. And in the video that I shot afterwards, I'm actually saying it could just be his ear. It could just be his ear. That's how close I was. I could see that his ear was bleeding, but it was only the top. So I was very optimistic that he was going to be okay. I was concerned that he might have, a chest wound, kind of like Reagan had, that wasn't discovered until after. But I saw him walking away, and I was optimistic he was going to be okay. And then 30 minutes later, someone told me that he was all right.
You saw the whole thing. Did you at the time know where it came from?
So you remember he's got the screen showing the chart, right? So as the president, I'm basically right in front of the podium in the front row. And he's looking, the president is looking to his right at the Jumbotron.
Right.
So my head turns to the left. So if the president is here, I'm looking at the Jumbotron this direction. When I hear the sounds, which I didn't recognize as being shots.
What did it sound like?
Crack, crack, crack. Like I'd shot a gun before, but I'd never been down range from rifle fire before to recognize that as being gunshots. So I thought it was like a prank or like fireworks or something.
Wow.
And I perceived it as coming from my left. So as the president's here and I'm looking at the Jumbotron, I hear the noises this way and I look that way. I'm trying to see like if there's a commotion in the crowd, and there wasn't. So I turn back towards the president and he's not there anymore. And I see the Secret Service running up on the stage. God. And then there's another set of shots. And then I realized this is an assassination.
Kept shooting.
Yeah. But I did not see the president grab his ear or fall down. So that's happening as I'm looking at the,
oh, here it is.
Yeah.
So where are you?
So my head is right above the M in ntd.com.
Oh,
I'm the red hat.
Oh, you're right there. Oh my God, you were right there.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, as that happens, I don't see him fall down, but then now that you can see him there, I'm up there filming, and I was just more concerned about him, and I started getting my camera out, because if I'm in the front row, as soon as there you can see exactly where I'm at right there.
Oh my God.
So if I'm in the front row, when the president comes out, I'll have my phone out and I'm taking video when Lee Greenwood's playing. God bless the USA. When that's playing, I'm gonna film that. But then I put the camera away because I don't want to be there in the front row with my phone up all the time because these cameras are going to take better pictures than anything I can ever do.
You want to be present.
Right. So I put the camera down and then at this point, I think I might be just about ready to go down and get my camera. I have my camera actually underneath my seat, so I had to get that. Started filming it, and
wow,
so I've got the camera. I'm starting to film, and
so right away did you think? Oh my God, he's.
Right. I think
really
the words
bad.
that I said were like, the president's been shot.
Were you live streaming or just recording here?
Just recording.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you like after we play this clip, if you go up to my account. And you search Butler front row, my clip will come up. But I'm saying something like the president's been shot. We don't know either that or they're just covering him. And very crazy. And I couldn't tell.
Even him doing this, I feel like he's too exposed,
there's an argument to be made for that they shouldn't have allowed him to do that. But he was the one who wanted to do that.
He's a big dude too. I mean, like if he wants to bust through and put his fist up, he's going to do it. And he's probably so pissed. Oh my God. I can't imagine what he's feeling.
Yeah.
And then his shoes, I think his shoes flew off at one point. So he wanted to get his shoes.
Right. And you're going to see like, that's his photographer right there. You're going to see Dan Scavino will come running around.
These women are just useless. My God. What are they doing?
I'm not going to say they're useless, but they did not. Yeah, I'm going to say this.
They're not as good as dudes.
If your protectee is 6'3", you can't be 5'5".
No, get the big ass, get some WNBA players up in here.
You can't be
Nobody's
5'5".
watching WNBA. They should be bodyguards.
Right.
Angel Reese.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a good phrase for Angel Reese. Apparently a high percentage of her rebounds are her own missed shots. And somebody called them me bounds. That was great. That was great. It's like great for Angel. It's like
That stuff.
It's a me bound. Oh. Wow, I can't believe you were there. I remember I was on the train going into the city to do someone's podcast, and I was watching the video on my phone, and I just started to cry. I just like couldn't help it. It was just so emotional.
Well, the thing that helped me is that the photographer for the New York Times, Doug Mills, saw me because normally they would stay with the president, but in this case they all got left behind by the caravan. So he did see me outside, like about maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes after the president had left, and he said that he's okay. So I knew before most people knew that he was all right. And if you think about this, if President Trump, you're just talking about, maybe he shouldn't have done that. Maybe he shouldn't have raised his fist. If he hadn't have done that and he'd been taken away without showing everybody that he was all right, the potential for somebody who supports the president to do something that could not be taken back in the window before it was revealed that he was okay. Oh. President Trump eliminated that by letting us know he was all right. Had he not raised his fist, had he not stricken that defiant pose, you can see where somebody somewhere may have done something that, like I said, couldn't be taken back.
What would be an example of this?
Well, you go to the bottom of the lake where all your guns fell when you had your boating accident, and then you take your gun somewhere and you do something. So
right.
That's a worst case scenario.
Okay. Yeah.
But he had the presence of mind to do that. It's truly remarkable. And all those,
and the T-shirt design. I mean, that's one of the most popular T-shirts. Is that pose? It was memed. Yeah. It was memed. It's iconic now.
I have mixed emotions about that, and I attribute that to the fact that I was actually there, and I understand how significant that is to other people, but it's not something that I enjoy seeing all the time.
Really, it doesn't. that's interesting because most people, they see it, they go, wow, like our president's a badass. Like he.
Yeah, but I always knew that.
Yeah.
But you know, like me seeing that will just make me think about that day in a way that is different from, you know, someone who viewed it at home. It's, you know, I understand it. I understand how important it is. I understand how iconic it is. So that's a me problem.
But to you, it's like, oh, you were there and we almost lost him and you were almost there to witness it.
Yeah. But it didn't happen that way. Here's my
God.
clip.
Oh, this is your clip.
Yeah.
So did you have to get out of your seat to film this, or this is right from where you're sitting?
I'm just standing up right where I was sitting. So these are that's the press pool coming there. Still can't see him.
We love you! Yes! Yes!
And at this point, they don't know about the guy behind them that got shot.
No, they don't know anything about that.
And you don't even see anybody.
Now, here's the part where I said it might just be true.
It could just be his ear. It could just be his ear. He's walking. Dude, that's fucking wild.
It's the old immigration chart.
Yep.
Whoo! Wow.
Was that the direction he was looking at that sign, or
He was
The other way.
He was looking at the other one. He was looking at the other one. So that was the one that was on the right side. So as I was in the front looking at him, the Jumbotron he was looking at would be off to our left. And so clearly some time has elapsed before I started getting my camera up and turning it on and you know, filming, because these guys are already on the stage. They're already looking around. And the thing I can remember them saying is like, let's get ready to move him. Let's get ready to move him. So I could hear the Secret Service saying that,
Wow.
but I couldn't see him. So it was,
Okay.
to me, I started worrying about like, is he incapacitated? But before I could really go down that path and start thinking about worst case scenario, you know, then he stood up and I felt like at this point I can tell he's okay. That's me yelling yes like 3 times. And now you can see I can see the blood for the first time when he got a little bit to the side. And
Yeah, the chick should not have been the one
It could just be his
on
ear.
the side of him to help hold him
you know,
up.
look, we criticize those people, and that's Dan Scavino right there coming through. Difficult.
It
I'm
was
not
their job.
difficult position. You drill for that all the time. You know, we now know that they'd been requesting additional assets and didn't get them.
Yeah.
I still think that the height thing bothers me the most. He's a
Right,
big guy,
right.
And if you're 5 foot,
I agree.
4, even if you're a short king, you know, if you're the
There's no place for short
If you're the
kings
biggest
on that.
stud and you're a short king and you're 5'4", you know, like we gotta have like a 6 foot thing. Must be this tall to protect the president.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not. You know, I think that they. Yeah. The presidential detail that's right there in that pit is different from the Secret Service outside. I was impressed with the speed in which they responded. Obviously, they took criticism for allowing him to raise his fist and
Leave his head kind of exposed.
yeah, but again, that was more President Trump wanting to do that, and I'm thankfully did, because look, if they'd taken him away and everybody just like, is he good? Is he good? Is he good? And then there'd be people saying that he was replaced with a clone. You know, so
Yeah.
you know, I think an incredible tragedy that day. You know, the fireman was. I don't want to pronounce his last name incorrectly.
I completely forget his name.
But
so,
Corey
yeah.
was his first name.
Parator, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, a tragedy for him, and then there were 2 other individuals who were injured, and that's the thing that bothers me when people say this is all staged.
Yeah.
There are people out there, we talk about conspiracies, that say that this was all staged.
And I remember they were leftists out the gate saying, "Oh, fake ear blood. It's all made up."
So what? So the dead person is staged. The other two people, that's staged. No, it's not. So that bothers me. So maybe I feel like I have a leg to stand on having been there. There's a ton of unanswered questions about the whole thing, of course, and I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, it must made you feel mad once all the details come out about like, oh, they didn't put security on the roof because it was sloped and everything, all the other details about things that were overlooked.
That woman got sacked. I mean, look, mistakes were made, obviously, and I've been to rallies since then, and the security is noticeably tighter, and Director Curran, who was on stage with President Trump there, take him off the stage, is now the head of the Secret Service, and I have full confidence in him, and President Trump would not have put him in that position if he didn't have full confidence in him as well. So I think that from this point going forward, I think we're in good shape. I don't think we see any more of these outdoor rallies. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see.
So he hasn't done an outdoor rally since this?
Well, he has, but not since becoming president.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Okay.
no, you can't.
So he's but
important.
he had the glass up. They're doing that. The only thing that maybe they're going to do an airport rally on a military base where people get taken to it by bus, and then you could have enough control of the perimeter that he might be able to do a rally in an airport hangar.
Yeah, they could do it like how they recruit people for Squid Game. They knock people out, they put a bag on their head, and then take them to the rally. Take their phones away.
I like.
Dee-doo.
I don't really second guess them. So they're gonna do what they feel is right, and I'm just gonna show up to as many rallies as I can make it to. Can't make it to all of them, but I'll beat everyone I can make.
Coolest moment or coolest person you've met outside of Trump, of course, since blowing up and becoming an influencer.
That's
Other than me, of course.
That's a tough one.
This could include like DMs, I guess.
Hey, Dr. Gorka, talked about him.
Gorky.
Charlie Kirk, Tyler Boyer from Turning Point as well. Okay, here's the mind-blowing one. All right, I just came with the mind-blowing one. I'm at the RNC in Milwaukee, and I'm outside, and I'm talking with a friend, and I feel a tap on my shoulder. So I turn around, and it's Marco Rubio.
Ooh.
So Marco Rubio saw me outside at the RNC and came up to say hello, and we spoke for a little bit, and then I'm just like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You're just getting approached by senators who I haven't spoken with, something like that. That was kind of wild. And then from the just the web personality aspect of it, I've met people that I knew online, then you meet them in person, and that's really neat. Because some of them are anonymous memers like myself, and others are personalities who are putting stuff out, or like podcasters or whatever, and that's fun too. But I think Marco Rubio, besides President Trump, and JD Vance actually spotting me in the audience at a rally in Detroit, and then JD Vance, he called me Brick Suit.
Wow.
So JD Vance knows I'm Brick Suit. The president wants to call me Mr. Wall. That's fine. JD Vance called me Brick Suit. That's kind of cool.
JD, you can't call him Mr. Wall. That's what I call him.
So that was neat too. And so there have been a lot of things like that. And the hardest ones are when I meet angel mom and dads, angel parents. those are the most difficult.
Oh gosh.
And then, I always try and listen to the stories that they tell about the loved ones that they lost as a result of, the actions of an illegal alien within our borders, whether it was a crime or drunken driving or however. Those are the stories that I find to be the most difficult. But I'm still thankful that I do get to meet people like that and hear their perspective, because, on one level, when I wear a suit like this and I'm advocating for border security, it's kind of, it's an oversimplification and it's an abstraction, but at the real human level, there's a tremendous amount of needless tragedy for citizens in the United States, and frankly, a tremendous amount of abuse at the hands of smugglers, particularly for women, particularly for the things that they undergo when they're crossing the border. And the Biden administration allowed that to happen. They opened the doors to it. They were basically the cartel's employee of the month for just letting it happen. And now we know that the dollars that we were funding were going to NGOs, and the NGOs were basically, it was all just get them across. And the amount of human suffering that happened as a result of Biden's and Mayorkas open border policies is impossible to calculate.
Yeah, and I feel like Trump, at best, maybe he'll put a dent in it.
Oh, but it's down to the levels of crossing are down to, down 95% from what they used to be. And it just shows, and nothing was needed. Like Joe was, Resident Biden, or whatever we're going to call him, was saying, I need to have bipartisan legislation passed before I can get this under control. None of that needed to happen. It was all under his control from the very beginning. He could have done it just the way President Trump did it. And, we're approaching that correctly now, I believe. Deportations are starting to ramp up. And frankly, I think that the ace in the hole that people are not thinking about yet when they're looking at the numbers is how, as this continues on, if you're in the country illegally, people are going to realize, I should just self-deport.
Yeah, you should
eventually
just go.
Eventually you're going to get me. They're going to pull me over for a tail light. They're going to find, like, if you self-deport, you can basically sell all your stuff before you go. You're in control of it. You're in control of it. But if once you're in ICE detention, you can't do that. And then you have no control over where they're going to send you or when you're going to. Look, they should self-deport. They know they're here illegally, and they got to go.
For all the illegals watching this podcast, thank you for the views, but yes, just go ahead and head home. You can listen probably from Ecuador or wherever you're from, right?
CCOT. You might be listening from CCOT if you don't. That's the thing. I mean, you've got to.
Yeah. What did we think of the latest drama of Elon and Trump? Are they really feuding? What are your thoughts on this? Some people are saying, well, this is all choreographed.
Yeah.
Some folks were saying, well, Elon named him in the Epstein files, but just to get the lefties or the legacy media to, I think
the timing is wrong to support that. If it happened like after the bill passed, then maybe you could say it was about getting the files released. I think it really is, it really is as it appears and as it reported is, a rift between them. But I like to say, I like to look at something like this and say, like what's the percent that it is going to be? What's the percentage chance that they really are just pulling over one on us? And I don't think it's 0%, but I think it's a really low percentage.
It's a true beef.
So I'm not willing to say that there's absolutely zero chance that it's all like, a setup. But I think that chance is really low, really low. I think it's I think it's as advertised and as reported.
So he tweeted out that that Trump was named in the Epstein files, and then what? The Tesla stock dropped something like 150 million, and then folks were saying, well, then he put out a tweet that was sort of almost backtracking, or him responding to somebody else saying, oh, okay, actually, I'll slow my roll.
This was tough because when this was happening, I'm driving through Pennsylvania, and I'm going north south through the Appalachian Mountains, and so I'm like on a ridge, and I'm down the valley, and I lose signal, and then I come up the next ridge. It's like in the span of like 15 minutes, there's a whole other tweet out, and it just blows up.
So much is happening.
So it's on the issue that you're talking about, the stock prices.
Oh, is this it?
On the issue that you're talking about, the stock prices, I think that's something that really hasn't played out yet. I think
that could even out.
It's, if you are a stockholder in Tesla, maybe you're not happy with the way that was handled. If you're an investor in SpaceX, maybe you're not happy with it. I can understand. The thing is, fundamentally, I'm not like anti-Elon. I think he does some great things. I think this wasn't one of them.
Not one of his finest moments. He's kind of, right, he's autistic. He's just one man. He's very stressed out. He's got a lot on his plate.
I'm not going to say that about him, but I think that from the outside looking in, I get the impression that Elon is able to attack problems with his financial resources and get them resolved. If he has an engineering problem,
just look at his baby moms.
If he has an engine, that's one thing. But I mean, I was thinking more like he's got a problem with an engine, and so let's fund some more engineers, and you get a solution. Politics is not engineering. Politics is not material science, and so you can't just throw money at the issue and expect to come up with a solution. And I think that the push for a third party in America, I think that's a bad idea. I think you got Bill Clinton won because of Ross Perot running. Bill Clinton won the presidency with 43% of the vote.
Wow.
Because Ross Perot was in the election with a third party. So if Elon is really going to come through with a third party, he could spend every dollar he has liquid and still not be successful with it, in my opinion. The reality is the political structure of the United States has us locked into a two-party system. And
sorry, libertarians.
The best path forward is to take over the structure of one of those parties and reform it. And so that's what I think is the best thing. And I think that Elon's principal goal, and I laud him for this, is to get people to Mars, is to get humanity to Mars.
And then you can have three parties on Mars.
And, I'm just saying, like he should, as a rational political actor, he should support whichever party is going to make that more likely for his company and his vision to prosper. And I think that's still the Republican Party.
Of course.
It's not the Democratic Party. And if he wants to come up with another third party, obviously nobody can stop him. But I don't think that it's going to have the degree of success that he would envision. I just don't believe that, a viable third party that could compete on an equal footing with the Democrats or Republicans can be constructed out of whole cloth.
Just from money. I don't know. We're not set up for it.
We're not.
You had that tweet there, Filthy, of where Elon talked about the people have spoken, a new political party is needed in America to represent the 80% in the middle, and exactly 80% of people agree this is fate. Yeah, I mean, you're doing too much, Elon. You put out a poll. Okay, good for you, Elon. Focus on Mars. Focus on sending the trans people to Mars.
I guess I'm hoping this blows over. I'm hoping that they,
make up,
to come to some sort of agreement to put this behind them and move forward. I mean, if you look at President Trump, he's had some very caustic words for some people who are now in his administration.
True.
and some people who are now some of his biggest supporters. And I'm hoping that same thing happens again here. But, I don't know if it will. This is just like, we're all just watching the weather. We have no control over it. And we have, limited insight into it. And
it's cloudy with a chance of musk.
It's obviously not a best case scenario.
It's musky out.
It's musky out. It's obviously not a best case scenario. I don't think anybody really wants this. But
no, it's not good to have your dads fighting.
But I'm not, and look, do you remember the clip of President Trump leading, X across the White House lawn to the helicopter?
That was so cute.
Right. So how does that square with the accusations that are made about President Trump being in the files?
Yeah. And he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago.
Right. And my view about that is like, if he were really in the files in a way that was super,
we would know by now.
The Democrats would have leaked it long ago.
They'd have been all over it.
Long ago. And whoever is involved in those files, obviously there's going to be Democrats in there, and there's probably some Republicans too. But from my standpoint is anybody who was involved with the type of things that should not have been happening on the island or Epstein's ranch in New Mexico or his townhouse in New York, they should all burn, metaphorically. All right? I'm not advocating for people to actually be lit on fire. I'm just saying no quarter. They deserve none, and they should all be punished to the highest extent of the law.
Here's this little video. Yeah, let's play that. That's adorable. Oh, this was from March.
Right. So he's like, leaving the helicopter, and
it is cute. Yeah, I think during his inauguration, like J.D. Vance's kids were running around, and it was just
right. So
it was so cute.
It just doesn't square. And now he's gonna point out. When he crosses the tree, he's gonna look at the press. He's gonna point to X and spell out his name in the air. He's gonna do a little X symbol. And so it just doesn't.
Look how
right
cute.
Here, there he is.
How cute is X.
So
that's cute.
How does that square with some of the accusations? It
doesn't.
People don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, again, I'm on the outside looking in, and but I just don't believe that President Trump has any culpability in any Epstein shenanigans.
I don't either.
At all. 100% don't think that it's even possible.
No, I really don't either. Yeah, I hope they stop beefing. Because I just got my dark MAGA hat from the DC airport. They had 2 left. I bought them both. What do you think of? A lot of people have been talking about this sort of latest drama on Twitter.
Quick,
we have some supers.
Yeah. We got this one from
Gollum's half botched circumcision. Wow, I love you guys. Donated, what is this? Thailand bucks?
This is South, I think Paraguay.
Oh, the Paraguayans are listening. Great. I think his mustache is fake, though. Oh my God! How dare you? This is
mustache.
Yours, Brick. They're all man. This is all real.
No, it's
you can't fake this.
This is the only thing good that came out of COVID for me is that at my work I didn't have to wear a mask.
Oh, good.
But we did have to wear a face covering. So in my classic passive aggressive format, I went and I bought a red kids t-shirt made in Nicaragua, and I would wear it with the sleeve coming out the nose.
Like an elephant.
So it's like literally doing nothing.
That's so ridiculous.
Literally doing nothing, but it did, some individuals have a beard that they could shave in the morning and they've got a shadow by, that afternoon. Mine's not that way. But, having to wear just the face covering gave me that crucial window to get through that phase where it just doesn't look good.
Yes, the patchy phase.
Yeah. So I got beyond that, and so now
you're established.
I never had a beard or a mustache prior to COVID.
That's shocking to me because it looks very uniform and like you grow it no problem.
Yeah, but like I said, I could not have it on the side like Gavin. Gavin's got the full side coverage. I don't. This is what
yours
I'm gonna roll
is better.
People do want to know if you're using wax or
None.
whatnot.
Wow.
None. I mean, I do have some like some product, beard clay or something like that. I will only really ever use that if I'm going to be like in an extended. I used it at the RNC. Like if you're going to be on camera for
If
a
it's
long period of time,
windy out, you need to stay in
but
place.
for the most part, I'm just like this is as long as it's going to get. I could grow it longer, but I feel like if you get it longer,
You'd
than
have to
this,
get a job at a carnival.
yeah, it's just like then it's just too much. Then you've crossed over into hipster.
Yeah, now you have to start making lattes.
I just do like the little hand twist on it, and that's about
that's
it. There's no
perfect.
product in there. If it gets longer, then it's just too. It's too much. It's too much. And I'm not that. I'm low maintenance. I don't put product in the hair. I don't put gel. I just want to come out of the shower and go.
Hair looks good.
And
Yeah.
So no product.
If anybody wants to sponsor, I think Brick Beard sounds good, like a good product. All bricked up.
I can use it.
Yeah. But you're not looking for sponsors. You're good. You're like,
No.
you're in a good position where you were telling me earlier, you're not some new kid in their 20s and 30s looking like to make their whole bag from your online presence.
Which is difficult. And then you get, I see people are doing, you look at the people who are at the top of the game in social media and they have podcasts and that's a whole, now you've got people's jobs depend upon you. And now you've got a schedule and now you've got to have a booker and now you've got to have this and you've got to have that. And the deeper you get into that, the more layers of complexity there are. But that's what it takes for, I want to say people who are making their career out of this, because there are some people who are making, I would imagine, I don't have access to anybody's financials, but there are some people who are doing this that have come across it accidentally, and they're making, they're getting subscriptions on X, which I think is I subscribe to a few people on X because I respect the work that they do. And, but then there's a wide gamut, and I just don't feel the need to do anything major from a fundraising aspect, because all I really want what I do on social media to do for me is to pay for the trips that I take as part of my political activities.
Yeah, you want to break even. Why not?
Right. It's like it becomes a self-funding endeavor. I'm not looking to make X number of dollars more so I can buy my, my third or fourth,
Suit.
I do need a third or fourth suit. I was going to say house. I don't need to be like a Bernie Sanders type situation where I need the lake house. Or, I need that. I'm low budget, and I'm looking forward to 26 and 28. I'm going to probably try and increase the amount of coverage I do on those. And one thing I'm going to do is try and outfit a car.
A brick car?
The campaign,
the Brickmobile.
The campaign cruiser. We're gonna call it the campaign cruiser, and the Brickmobile would be a good one, but it's, I'm not going to get it all tricked out. But I need like a stealth camper.
All bricked out.
I need some form of SUV that gets decent mileage, that, in a pinch I can sleep in. And
like a little trailer.
Yeah. More like not even a trailer. Just, I literally sleep in the back of the SUV.
You're very low maintenance. I like that about
Very
you.
low maintenance.
You can van life it,
It's
True.
like van lifing, but it's a step below van life. It's like SUV lifing, but it's not lifing because it's just for a short period of time. It's like I wouldn't want to do it forever, but I can handle that level of deprivation for, a month or two at a time.
It's nice. Just like you're camping.
Yeah. And, I did it when in September, October, and early November last year. I had 6 weeks on the road.
Wow.
I rented a car in Baltimore. I put 17,000 miles on that car in 6
Woohoo.
weeks. Just going from event to event to event.
Cool.
And, that's where I realized,
How do you clean your clothes?
every so often I would check into a hotel that did laundry. And then
you
while I'm at the rally, they're doing my dry cleaning and my laundry.
So smart.
So, and then Because if you're traveling by car from location to location, and you get to a hotel, well, now you've got to unpack your car, and then you've got to repack your car. So you're spending, an hour and a half to 3 hours each day doing that. If you're just in the car, in the Planet Fitness parking lot,
Yeah.
and you get up in the morning and you go, it's just so much more time you have to travel. And so I don't necessarily want to do that type of breakneck, because there's not going to be, I don't think 2026 is going to see that type of rally schedule. I think the president will be traveling to certainly states where there's going to be key gubernatorial campaigns, key senatorial campaigns, and I think that we're going to see him really working hard to maintain control of the House. So there's going to be places to go, and I'm going to try and get to them. But then for 28,
I can't even
that's
imagine
madness.
28.
Yeah. But basically, like the vehicle that I have right now is not conducive to this. It's too small. So I'm looking at something like Toyota 4Runner.
A Toyota Highlander, maybe.
4Runner. I'm actually even looking at Subarus. It's like not really.
You don't strike me as a lesbian.
I'm not. But it's a very capable automobile, and it gets close to 30 miles to the gallon, and the size is right, and it has all-wheel drive, and can do some dirt roads and off-road things, and limited off-road, not rock crawling, but, but forest service roads.
Or a Cybertruck you could drive through the water.
I don't want to. It's too much. So there's a happy medium somewhere of a car that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, gets decent mileage, and does the other thing that I want to do too. Because there are things that I do that are not politically motivated, and one of those is I like to go to national parks, and I like to explore America, and I like to do things like that. And a car that can go on dirt roads reliably is something that I'm looking for. And
that's nice.
I don't necessarily need the capability of an all, full-time 4-wheel drive, or even something that can, like, Jeeps are super capable and Toyota 4Runners are super capable, but I don't think I really need or want the ability to just do a lot, slow rock crawling type stuff. I want to be able to go on a dirt road to a trailhead that's 20 miles on some Forest Service road, and know that the vehicle I'm taking on that is able to do it.
Yeah, you're not doing donuts at the Grand Canyon.
No.
Do you have brick underwear?
I can't confirm or deny that rumor.
You have 4 different Trump hats with you here.
I do.
What's the reason for this?
Well, I was thinking about changing them, but
with the topics.
But we've got Save America, because that's really this is an official Trump
This was
hat.
for the 24 campaign.
Yeah, and the way you can tell it's official, for all of you wondering, is like there'll be people who say the Trump hats are from China. Well, if you buy a non-standard Trump hat, it might be from China, but an official Trump hat
from China. How can you tell?
Well, it's not. It doesn't have a green underbill, so it's not a Trump. It's not a Trump.
Made in
hat.
PRC. What's that? The bot is in China.
Yeah, that's China.
Damn it.
So like the authentic campaign ones are the green underbill, and they'll be Cali famed. They'll be made in the United States. So this is authentic. This one is not from the campaign. This is the one Eric Trump was selling from the Trump store. So this is my troll people in airports hat.
That's great.
So I will wear the Trump 2028, and they'll get all angry about it.
What kind of responses? Like, what do people say to you when you wear it?
He can't run again. I said, and I'm like,
can he?
And I'm like, did I say which Trump?
Barron.
Well, Barron's gonna be too young.
Oh, right.
But
Eric
it just says
Ladon.
Trump. It doesn't say who. It doesn't say what. And then this is an
It could be
example.
Melania.
This is an example of a hat that I had custom made. So this is
Wow.
Maha, Make America Healthy Again. And I just felt like the hats that they had out at the time, they didn't have a red with white lettering. So
How come this isn't one that they mass produce? That's
I
shocking.
don't know. I really like it. I think it's better than some of the ones they have. So this is one that I have made. So
wow.
I have a lot of hats. I have too many hats.
There's never too many. I love it. Yeah. So this is another issue that's been everyone's been talking about. We're switching gears. Here, guys. Nala Ray was like a top 1%, probably 0.1% 0.0001% earner on OnlyFans. She was doing a lot of adult content, if you guys know what I'm getting at. And she was saved. She found God. She turned up at one of Charlie Kirk's, I guess, events where he speaks on campuses, and maybe that is what prompted this. But anyway, she got booked at a Turning Point USA, I guess, Young Women's Leadership Summit, I think, which is happening maybe in a couple of weeks. When is this happening? Okay, yeah, it's June 13th through 15th in Dallas.
Where's she
She's there. She's a speaker. She's in the third row. She'll be there with Brett Cooper and Alex Clark and all these other, and the internet has been up in arms about her being booked at this event. People think, well, she's not, the classic conservative female leader, I guess. People are upset that she ever did the content to begin with. There's some people who think, oh, well, she's got to give back all the money she ever made. She hasn't truly repented. She hasn't truly changed herself adequately to be booked on such a thing. I, for one, I'm happy to see this, because I think if it can, people are saying this is inappropriate because this is like for young women. There's going to be like 13, 14-year-old girls there. They shouldn't be. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure a 14-year-old girl unfortunately knows what OnlyFans is. And I think if she can inspire girls to not get involved, then it's worth it.
The only thing I can say from that is that I think Turning Point does absolutely fantastic work pretty much across the board. And if they feel comfortable taking a chance on having her as a speaker, then I'm willing to defer to their judgment on it. And, I'm not going to say I know what's in her heart.
Only God knows.
But like I said, if Turning Point is okay with it, I'm generally all right with that.
There was a moment.
They do fantastic work.
They really do. They had me at one of their things. So,
and even not just these conferences that they do. And I've been to their America Fest in Phoenix. I went to that.
I think that's where I saw you.
Incredible. And they had the People's Convention in Detroit, which was incredible. And all the rallies that they produced have been fantastic. But they also do the Get Out the Vote and the ballot chasing initiatives. And they do a fantastic job there as well. And so I think that, they really have their finger on the pulse of what resonates with their core audience. Mm-hmm. Their core audience is not people like myself. Obviously at the Young Women's Leadership Conference, that's not a place where I would go. But
you could go and just be like, oh, here's the briquettes.
No, the briquettes. Yes.
Charcoal briquettes.
Yes.
No, they probably would see you as creepy, even though you're not creepy. You're very upstanding.
It's just not the right venue for me. Mm-hmm. It's not the right venue. I mean, it's like, I looked at who was going there though, and there's a lot of people that I thought they were really, that I would like to see speaking, but I'm not. I'm just going to watch the video.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm really familiar with her her previous work or anything. I just peripherally aware of her coming out. And look, anybody who's in that situation, people are going to be skeptical about their motives. And so it's nice to move forward in the path that they've chosen. And, sometimes you're wrong, but you've got to give them that opportunity, because otherwise you're just closing everybody off from being able to turn themselves around.
Yeah. She's not very Christian.
How many times have people had a second or third act that worked out for them? You can't shut people down from that.
Time will tell if she's not genuine. People can tell. The more she does public events and speeches, people will know where her heart is at for sure. There was a moment a couple years ago, Brandy Love, who was currently a person who does adult works. Brandy
She's
Love.
kicked out of CPAC.
She was
she?
kicked out of. It was a TPUSA Student Action
was it?
Summit.
Okay, all right.
Parents complained. So that was pretty controversial. That was a few years back, and she was like, yeah, they made it sound like she was there handing out flyers. She was not. She was actually, I think, an invited VIP guest. So that pissed her off, and rightly so. But yeah, this is Nala's. Clearly, she's turned her life around. She's closer to God. So we'll see. I'm of the same opinion you are, where like if it's all just BS for clicks or for, I mean, she's not really making money off of going to this event. It's they're probably covering the cost of her travel and maybe a little more than that. But
well, look, kudos to TPUSA for having the stones to I don't know the text of what she's going to say, but
yeah,
to have a guest like that is if you told me 6 months ago that would happen, I probably would have said that's unlikely.
And it's going to get people talking about the event for sure.
Right. Yeah.
See,
Well, I don't think that, but I don't think that that's the purpose of it. The purpose isn't to generate buzz for the event. Like she's going to be there. I think that that's a little bit too Machiavellian. I think that they really are more, my read is they'd be more interested in her content and her story and the impact that it can have on the attendees.
Yeah, and her message. Do we have any other good questions from the chat?
I'm pulling up a link right now, just sending it from my phone, because Nala Ray actually met Charlie Kirk not that long ago.
Oh yeah, I sent you that link in the, I think on
No.
Twitter.
You didn't send it.
Yes, I did.
I just pulled it up on my own.
I thought I did. It is. I put it in our group chat.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
It doesn't matter.
It's there. You have to scroll up a little.
No, it's not.
It's there. This is what I sent. Fine.
I only have the AF post I pulled up.
All right. Play the thing.
Okay.
Be here today. So
She's gone for a revival.
She's got a turtleneck on.
5 years. And I got saved, and I radically gave my life to the Lord and gave that life up.
Praise the Lord.
So I want to know, would
argue
you
with
support a ban on porn in America, and what would you do to make that happen?
If it's, unfortunately, I don't think it's legal, but absolutely. I mean, first of all, porn is no different than a digital opiate and an
Absolutely.
addiction. I mean, we've seen states that have made it harder to access, and porn rates have gone down.
Yeah.
But you were once an OnlyFans model.
Yeah.
What would you have to say to the danger and the damage that does to young people?
Honestly, so much. It depends on sex as well. It has different effects on men than it does women. Like for men, it shuts them down. They don't know how to be in good relationships. They don't know how to treat women. For women, it's all emotional. And they just continue to get compared to the women in porn.
Correct.
So honestly, I'd say some self-control would go a really long way, which is also one of the fruits of the Spirit. So I think America needs a revival right now. That's what I think.
Praise the Lord. Stay there for a second. I have a message to men, and then I want you to give a message to women. Men, if you are consuming OnlyFans, it is no different than you going out with a prostitute every night. The only difference is that you guys get to hide behind some screen. You are contributing to the dehumanization and delegitimization of millions of young women
You're
that are nothing
supplying the
more.
demand.
You are supplying the demand of the new online sex trade, and you need to stop doing it and repent in front of God for contributing to this awful cancer of selling your body for cash online.
Amen.
That is my message to men. What is your message to women that sell their bodies online?
Honestly, you're so much more worth it than that. I don't know who hurt you in your life, if you have daddy issues, mommy issues, but you were made for so much more in the eyes of God. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that is it. Mic drop.
God bless you. Thank
God
you
bless
so
you.
much.
Aw,
I think that message.
that's genuine.
I think that message will resonate with women coming from her in a way that a male voice can't really convey.
And when you have a lot of like an Ally Beth Stuckey or the types of women who like a Brett Cooper who just they're more like the textbook kind of like trad conservative women, like which does appeal to a certain kind. But then you have someone like her who's like really lived another
Who
life
was on the other side of the fence.
Yeah, and there's just those other women can't speak to people. She can reach people that the others can't, for sure. So I'll be keeping an eye on her. We'll see. Very exciting stuff. Brick, is there what's coming up for you? Where can people follow you?
Well, my main account is on X and it's brick_suit. I do have a Instagram account. I'm not as active on there, but that's just bricksuit, all one word. Apparently there's fake accounts out there always.
Stop
there's
it.
fake, people on Facebook, there's fake Instagram accounts, there's fake X accounts. But I'm never going to contact you and ask you to invest in any crypto. I'm never going to be cold calling you or anything like that.
No gift cards, no
And it
Visa.
sucks too because they look at my account and look at people who follow me, and then they'll go follow that person from the fake account.
That's very sneaky.
It's not good, and there's nothing I can really do about it. I mean, I report them to these agencies, and because Bricksuit is not my legal name, it doesn't fall under the auspices of the impersonation.
Oh, but it should.
Yeah. So X is the best place to follow me. It's where being by myself and not having a staff, it is difficult to manage multiple platforms, as I'm sure you know.
Oh yeah.
It's difficult. And I
don't even open my emails.
I don't do this full time. So, X is where it's at for me. And I think the short term coming up, I was going to be, I've decided to extend my length of my trip out here back east. I'm going to go to the military parade in DC on the 14th.
Ooh.
And spent a lot of time just knocking around Pennsylvania this last week after the rally in Pittsburgh, because I like traveling. I like Pennsylvania, and the last couple times I came here, it was rally to rally to rally, and you didn't really get a chance to do things. And I've just had a really good time driving around Pennsylvania the last couple days, and
go get some Amish pies.
Oh, no, I went to that Shady Maple, if you ever hear of that. It's a huge smorgasbord in Lancaster County, and it's just phenomenal. And I had pierogies, basically as good as homemade, like our grandma used to make in Pittsburgh. And my big weakness, though, is when I'm traveling, when I'm driving through rural Pennsylvania and I go by an ice cream place and I see all the locals lined up outside.
That's a good sign.
I stop.
It's like when you see the Asians at an Asian place.
You must stop. You must stop.
Mm-hmm.
Because first of all, it's not a Cold Stone Creamery and it's not a Baskin Robbins. It's not a Dairy
No, they're not
Queen.
going to sing for a tip.
It's a local place, and and it's got some cred with the locals. I will at least stop and check it out. And if they have frozen custard, that's even bigger plus.
Ooh.
Because I think I prefer that to ice cream. And that's one thing I got to work on too, is when I'm doing this, I got to figure out a way to just
have as much ice cream as possible on the road.
I just need to, it's too easy to buy food and eat it when you're driving around. So I need to I feel like I've already gained like a few, maybe 5 pounds in my trip here. So I have to get back on the keto horse when I get home.
Oh yeah, for sure. Get on that jerky, cheese, seltzer, bacon routine.
Steak, bacon. You mean I can have bacon and more bacon? More bacon, please. So, so if you're going to follow my accounts, X is the place. And then I think that in going forward from here on, I'm going to be doing more events. And one thing I really want to do is just kind of do some volunteering in California and Arizona, and just kind of share my thoughts about what the volunteering process is like out there, and try and motivate some other people to try it. Now, volunteering for a political cause is not something that everybody's going to enjoy doing, but if 100 people try it, maybe 5 people really like it, and 5 people sort of like it. And it's not like you have to sign up, because I think that people have like a really skewed version of what it's like to be a volunteer. And like, you think of somebody like Scott Pressler and you think like, well, I could never do that. I could never spend that much, but you don't need to. I mean, even if you can only put in like 4 hours a week, or
you can make a difference.
You can make a difference. And the other thing is, you also have a sense of satisfaction of having, contributed to an effort that's important to you, that maybe is in the long run better than just binge watching Yellowstone one more time. And, you're not signing up, you're not signing your life away. You're not saying, I got to do this. You'll be in control of what you want to do, and you may find that you enjoy it. And I would like to, I've done some limited amount of that. By no means do I consider myself to be like a professional volunteer, but I have a great deal of respect for the people who are knocking on doors and canvassing day in and day out and doing phone banking. And again, I'm while I have dabbled in those, I am not I don't really think that I, like I said, I'm not a professional volunteer. But I would like to do more of it just so I can share with other people, my insights about what it's like, so that maybe they can decide if they want to try it.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And I if I can get, that's something I think that is probably a good use of my time going forward, to do more of that.
What a good person you are. I just want to binge watch TV shows.
I don't have a television, so I don't have to worry about that. No TV in 30 years.
Wow, good for you. But you do have TV on your phone.
Yeah, but I don't watch. Like, I just knew, like, I was watching too much football.
Oh,
I was watching all 3 games on Sunday. I was watching Monday night.
Oh no.
I was watching Monday Night Football on Thursdays.
Football's so
boring.
boring.
I just said, and then I was watching The Usual Suspects for the 40th time. It's a great movie, and you know how it ends, but you're still going to watch it, because.
True. That's like how Love on the Spectrum is. Like, I know what's going to happen, but I can't look away.
So give me the keys. I don't want to do the whole scene, but
no spoilers.
No spoilers, but it's just like, I just decided that for me personally, I just thought there's not going to come a time in my life when I look back upon it and say, I wish I had watched more TV.
True.
I felt like the chances of that happening were very remote. And so I started.
Get it? Remote TV.
That was unintentional.
Oh. Okay.
So, I started doing other things, like I volunteered at a Little League. I was the head groundskeeper for a while, and just taking other classes and learning some subjects that I liked and some
enrichment.
And wrote a book.
What?
Trains.
Wow.
And on the railway history, and that book is why I was in Pennsylvania when I was wearing the suit for the first time.
Oh.
You're
multifaceted.
Yeah.
Multi-talented.
Not just a guy in a brick.
You're so
jacket.
much more than that.
Yeah.
You're in brick underwear too. Possibly. Guys, everyone follow Brick Suit right now on Twitter, Brick_suit, I believe. The unprofessional, professional volunteer. The best guy. The coolest.
Soon to be doing more volunteering.
And like I said earlier, come and check out my stand-up shows. For tickets, go to my website, ChrissieMayr.com. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, won't you, please? Thank you all for watching. Thanks to everybody who left a super chat and for your comments and questions. And if that's all, do we have anything else, Fealty? Nope. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Take care, everybody.